Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today, and I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I haven't been able to really sit down and do any kind of filming or recording, so I really do appreciate you guys just not minding that I have not posted a lot of content. I had the intention of posting a lot more in April, and it just didn't work out, but that's okay. We're figuring it out. And I am just trying to give myself grace. So today I will be doing a weekly check-in reading because it's been a hot minute. So this reading will be for Sunday, May 4th through Saturday, May 10th. So I wanted to be a little bit more consistent this month. So we'll see how it goes. I get a little caught up with all of the things that I have to do, and I'm just been vibing with this Taurus energy of just enjoying myself, lots of snacks, lots of just doing things I want to do, sleeping a little bit more. So I appreciate your guys' patience. And I hope that this reading brings you some clarity and some guidance as to what to expect for this week and where we will be landing with this energy. So let's get into it. All right. So the first card is going to be, what do we need to know for this week as a collective? So here we have the Eight of Wands. Now next will be, what do we need to do? Here we have the Guardian of Pentacles. All right, so what do we need to release as a collective? Here we have the Eight of Swords reversed. And then finally, what do we need to contemplate as a collective? Here we have the Eight of Cups reversed. Lots of eights this week. That's crazy. All right, so we'll just kind of talk about these cards first, and then if I feel drawn to pulling some extra, oracle cards, maybe I'll pull a little bit of that to just kind of give us a little extra message and things to keep in mind. So the very first card for this week of May 4th through Saturday, May 10th, we have the Eight of Wands, which is what we need to know. Now, typically the Eight of Wands is a card of like getting your second wind, kind of getting out there, kind of feeling like things are finally taking off in the trajectory that you had initially tried to kind of go into. I kind of look at this as like that joy and stability coming together enough to where you can really enjoy what is coming. So I feel like maybe after a little bit of a slowdown, or maybe feeling a little bit like you've been dragging your feet on certain things, this week may feel like things are finally moving in the direction of what you would like, or maybe you're going to see a little bit of progress. So as far as what we need to know is that maybe we are on the right track, even if it feels like things are not moving quite as quickly, or things have not been moving at the speed with which we would like for them to. So if you've been trying to kind of refocus your energy or kind of muster up the energy to kind of move into the next thing, I think that this week you're going to see something really starting to shift, something starting to really fall into place, maybe feeling like things are finally coming together enough for you to have the motivation to keep going. When I think of wands, I think of, it's fire energy, right? So it's very much the energy of momentum and movement and travel and, really going after what it is that kind of lights us up. And eights are essentially that kind of energy of really establishing what it is that we've been focusing on. So I think that this is kind of saying like, what is your intention for yourself? What is it that you have been wanting? What is it that's like really lighting you up? What is the driving force at this moment? And are you available to kind of be receptive to this energy so that it is something that, really moves in the direction of what you want? Are you making the way for this to possibly move how you want it to move for you? So I think with the Eight of Wands, we're kind of being given this opportunity to kind of like check in on ourselves and kind of see like, are things moving in the direction that I want? Am I, really focusing my energy in a way that makes sense? So this might be a week where maybe you're starting to think about like, where do I want to go? Like, who do I want to see? Who lights me up? What makes me feel warm? What makes me feel like ready for the next level? What makes me feel motivated? Where am I finally seeing some movement where things have been a little bit stagnant? So I think that this is very much that invitation to kind of look at what do we have planned for ourselves moving forward. So I think that this is going to be a great time to kind of review whatever it is that we've been trying to set into motion and ensuring that we are moving in the direction of the things that really speak to us at this time. Now, moving on with what we need to what we need to do. Here we have the Guardian of Pentacles, or essentially this is the Queen of Pentacles. So I think that this is very Taurian energy. We're kind of being given an invitation to kind of say, like, are we feeling, empowered and connected to our spaces, to our physical selves, within the behaviors that we are, kind of showing? Are we, grounded and rooted in our lives? Do we enjoy the sort of work that we're building? Do we like the sort of ways that like our finances are going for us? Are we paying attention to a lot of these external, physical, earthly matters enough to where we feel grounded and rooted in this so that we can kind of move into the next phase? So I think that this week may be one where we are wanting to kind of be a little bit more aware of our finances, our career, our physical health, our behaviors, maybe even our homes. Maybe we're wanting to spruce things up. I mean, it is still technically spring, and I don't know where you guys are at, but it's finally warming up enough here to where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do a little bit of spring cleaning, kind of take out some of the rugs, beat them up or whatever outside, get some of that old dusty, musty energy out of here. I'm like rearranging furniture and kind of just going through and ensuring that everything is very intentional in my space. I think that this week is kind of that sort of energy too, where it's asking us, are we aware of what we have? Are we paying attention to like how we're showing up in our spaces? Are we aware of what we're doing for ourselves? When I think of the Queen of Pentacles, it's very much this energy of ensuring we understand our personal power, that we're showing up in this energy, that we are aware of how this looks moving for us, like as far as like what it is that we're building. It's essentially this sort of energy that's kind of saying, like, are we nurturing the things that we love? Are we nurturing the things that we really need? And are we paying attention to some of the things that are kind of happening around us? Sorry, my neighbor's dog is barking. I don't know if you guys can hear that. He is obnoxious. So the Guardian of Pentacles is very much this like invitation to kind of say, all right, this is what we need to do. We need to look at our spaces. We need to look at, how are we taking care of our financial selves, our career, our physical selves? What sort of things are we doing within our spaces and our home and our physical existence that are supportive and nurturing of what it is that we want? So this may be a time to just kind of reevaluate, like, how are you showing up and where is this energy kind of taking you? So moving right along to what we need to release, we have the Eight of Swords reversed. It's funny to have so many eights, number one, and then two of them to be reversed. So the Eight of Swords reversed with what we need to release, right? I think the Eight of Swords is one of these cards that can be a little bit confusing because the energy can kind of come off very much like we need to make some choices, some decisions. We may feel a little bit helpless and hopeless within what we're experiencing. We may feel like there isn't a lot of an opportunity for us to make the right choice. So we may feel like we're kind of at the end of something. But at the end of the day, when I think of the energy of the Eight of Swords, I don't think it's so much that it's the external circumstances that are putting us in a position where we don't really have a choice. I think the Eight of Swords is essentially kind of saying, like, we're the ones that are kind of putting ourselves in this position. We're the ones that are kind of mentally blocking ourselves. Now, with this being reversed and it being what we need to release, that maybe we're kind of stuck on the lessons of the Seven of Swords, which is essentially about like secrets, sneakiness, kind of revealing the truth, finding what has been hidden. So I think with this, that maybe this is kind of stating that we need to be aware of what is it that we haven't really let go of, What is it that we haven't really felt like we've gotten some clarity on? Because when I think of the swords suit, I think very much clarity, mental, like energy. It can be overthinking. So maybe we're aware that we are kind of overthinking certain things. Maybe we feel like we're just not seeing things quite as clearly as we would like. And so there is a little bit of a sense of, I don't really know what to do with this and how to move on from this, especially with what we need to release, is that maybe we're kind of stuck on like, I need to find the truth. But one of the things I've learned in the last like few years is that the truth isn't always what we think it is. And just because it's a truth doesn't mean it's the truth. There's many truths to many situations and a lot of different angles. And I know that's not something everyone wants to hear, but I'm also, someone that has Pluto and Saturn conjunct in Libra in the third house. So I am someone that like is always like, let's weigh all the angles. Let's look at all sides. Let's be more aware of like what's going on with everything. Which I know can get on people's nerves. But I think what this is that maybe we're kind of stuck on things that haven't really been revealed to us yet. And so it makes it a little bit more challenging for us to kind of look at, where we're at this crossroads and where it is that we are trying to kind of move with this energy. So I think that this is kind of saying like, hey, we need to be a little bit more intentional about what choices we're making. We're not quite so singularly left behind, if that makes sense, or maybe we're feeling a little metaphorically left behind or left out of things, because I feel like that's sort of energy that tends to come with the Eight of Swords too, is that it can feel a little bit like, oh, well, no one really is seeing my perspective, no one's really seeing where I'm coming from, or I feel a little bit like left behind, or things are not really making sense. So I think that this is kind of saying like maybe instinctively and intuitively we know that we have to kind of move on and let go of certain things in order for us to really see the progression and progress that we're trying to see and have, kind of come into our lives. But maybe there's this part of us that's just, it's easier to overthink, right? It's easier to kind of be in our heads and to let the anxiety win at some point. So I think that this is kind of saying like, maybe we got to kind of let go of some of that mental anguish or the mental blockages, or just kind of sitting here like, oh, it has to be something that feels challenging. It has to feel this way in order for it to be something that's legitimate for my, certain experiences and things of that nature. So maybe we're just kind of overthinking a lot of stuff right now. Maybe we're not allowing ourselves to really see the solutions that are here. And so we're just kind of stuck between wanting to suss out the truth in some ways without really recognizing and realizing that, finding one truth doesn't mean it's the truth, and it's not always going to be like the one thing that is happening. So it can just feel a little bit like things are still up in the air when it comes to what we're thinking, how we're thinking. And I think that this is why it's kind of saying like, we need to release that. We need to release this energy of like feeling like we don't really understand what's going on, or we don't really know where this will lead and how to kind of move with this energy. Now, finally, with what we need to contemplate, we have the Eight of Cups reverse. Now, again, this is another 8 card. So we're kind of given this opportunity to look at like, where are we at on the path? What are we doing? This is typically a card of like emotional withdrawal. It can talk about moving on. It can talk about, kind of choosing to walk away from a situation that emotionally has not been in alignment with the things that we want. Now, this being reversed is that maybe we feel like we're not ready. We're not ready to kind of move on from something. Even if we know like I'm on a sinking ship, I know that this isn't really what makes me happy, or I feel like this isn't really something that is in alignment with what I want and who I am and how I am, becoming at this current moment. And so we may feel like we're all on a little bit of like a sinking ship. And this is what we need to contemplate, right? Now, if we look at the lessons of the Seven of Cups, it's a card of daydreams and illusions, but it is kind of saying like we have a lot of options here, but that doesn't mean that all of the options that we have available to us are going to really lead us where we want to go. So we have to be very aware of what sort of choices and options that we're currently considering, because we may be like looking at something and thinking, well, that's better than where I'm at right now, or this is, you know, X, Y, and Z. And so we may be kind of struggling to make a choice or struggling to kind of commit to something, maybe because there is a lot of emotionality involved in the situation. So I think that this week, maybe we're being presented with some options or some choices that maybe don't really feel like that's what I want, but we're just trying to kind of pick the thing that maybe makes the most sense. And maybe that's why we're kind of feeling a little bit helpless and hopeless, but it's hard for us to, because we're like, well, I'm not really as trapped as I've made myself to seem. And maybe this has something to do with some like career stuff, or maybe some like physical stuff, or like home stuff, or whatever that's been going on, that maybe is kind of saying like, you need to kind of take care of yourself. And when you do make those choices, you're going to feel like things are finally moving in the direction that you want. But I think with these two reverse cards, especially at the end here, especially with this like 8 of Cups energy that's reversed, we're just kind of being told like, hey, like, you don't have to stick something out just because it's something that you chose at some point in time. And I think that's the thing with a lot of our choices, is that sometimes we feel like we are like bound to them. And yes, some choices are going to require a lot more of our energy, are going to require a lot more of our commitment. But I think with this being in the what we need to contemplate this week is that maybe we have forgotten that it's okay for us to make a different choice, and it's okay for us to kind of review all of the choices, to kind of, you know, take a step back and look at everything that we've been thinking about and what we're, you know, focusing on, and kind of the sort of life that we would actually like to live for ourselves. I think the 8 of Cups can also be a reminder that, you know, maybe we're the ones that have been dragging our feet on moving on from something. And I think that this is maybe an invitation to kind of take a step back and look and say, okay, this is what I want, or, you know, this is no longer what is in alignment with me, or I don't really have to remain stuck as it is. It's time for me to kind of change it up and make a different choice, so that I don't feel so caught up in things. So I think that this week is going to be one where we're feeling like some areas we're starting to see a little bit of momentum and movement. And this may bring up some of these more challenging elements for us, whether it's, I got to kind of choose which way I want to go. And maybe right now I'm just like too much in my head and there's so much anxiety, or I just kind of feel like maybe some truths are going to be revealed and I don't really know how that's going to go. And so maybe that's making it challenging for me to choose to walk away from something, because maybe I'm not quite ready to reevaluate some of the choices that I've made, so that I can feel more confident and comfortable and nurtured in the life that I'm building for myself. So I hope that this makes sense. Let me know what you guys think of this reading for this week. Let me know if you guys have missed these little weekly readings. I just want to say thank you so much for watching my videos, and I hope that may allows me a little bit more grace and time to kind of put these together for you guys. I want to say thank you so much, and I really appreciate you being here with me. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.